I used to always just hang my laundry out onto the wash line to dry in the sun and wind. That's how most people have done it throughout the centuries. That's a trusty old way that has always worked. However, there might come situations in which you cannot do that. For me, it usually comes during the rainy season every year. And what I used to do during that time is to just dry the laundry in the tumble dryer. However, if you've ever used a tumble dryer, you'll know that after drying your clothes with it, you clean the filter and you take out this whole handful of lint. And you're like, whoa, all that material came off of my clothing. And you realize if you do this a lot, your clothes are gonna get really thin and really weak. That's indeed what happened to my clothes. Some of the cheaper clothes tore after a while, just from everyday use. So that is when I started seeking an alternative, and I thought I found one in the form of this DriBuddi. The DriBuddi is a simple concept. It's basically like a bubble that then gets blown full of hot air. And of course you put your clothes in there and then it should dry your clothing. I've had it for some years now, so let me tell you about my experience. Now of course first what you do, this zips open, this whole bubble. And yeah, unfortunately one of mine's arms broke. This arm is supposed to be there, sort of like an umbrella almost. But the others are still good. So yeah, I'm afraid these little arms aren't that rugged and tough. But anyway, once you have your bubble open, you'll see here, let me just see if I can pick it up high enough. You see there's this heater that blows hot air into the bubble. So, and there's the switch. Unfortunately, they put the switch in there now, inside the bubble, so it's really difficult to work it. They could have just put it there underneath it or somewhere. But anyway, you're gonna turn that. You hear now it's starting to blow hot air. It also has a timer there for 3 hours. But yeah, personally I don't know why that is, because this thing doesn't work that quick. You need to leave your clothes for at least 6 to 8 hours, maybe longer. Anyway, let's just go through that quickly. Yeah, this little arm unfortunately is now a problem, because these little plastic thingies that's supposed to hold this metal rod broke off. Anyway, let me demonstrate you the idea anyway. I do like the idea. Whether it works that well in practice, I'm afraid I cannot say. They advertise this thing as being able to dry 18 pieces of clothing at a time. I'm afraid that simply just is not so. And I'll show you. Here's one shirt. Let's hang it over there. And yeah, very important. I must add that the clothing mustn't touch each other, because there where they touch, it's gonna stay moist. It needs space for the hot air to circulate in between everything. So you don't want anything touching each other. That's one item. Two, you see already almost the machine is full. That's two. Let's do that. Three. You might as well forget about drying your jeans in this thing. Yeah, I might also say all the clothes must have gone through the spin cycle of your washing machine at least. You cannot just hang really wet things in here. If you hang really wet jeans in this thing, it simply will not dry it. It will take too long. It might take 2 days, I would say. Anyway, yeah, you see already there's no space. We could have hung this here. That's just 4 items so far. But yeah, alright, let's do 5. And we might have hung one here. Well, let me just see if I put this together for a little bit. 6. Is it 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, it's just 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. So far, and there's really not room for any more. We could cram stuff in there, but then they're gonna touch each other and not get proper airflow around them. But I suppose we could put another one there. That's now 6 items. Yeah. And then of course, yeah, your socks, where shall we put them? Just like over here. Small things you can try to just like put wherever, but also you don't want them to touch stuff. Yeah, I would say this thing is now full. Then you zip up this sail or whatever, this cover. Alright, I was supposed to turn on the machine first. See, that's why I don't like where they put the switch. So let's just turn it on. It does have a 3-hour timer, but you can turn the switch the other way around and then it should just stay on indefinitely until you switch it off. And now you'll see it sort of like expands a bit like a balloon because of the hot air that's getting pumped in there. It does have little holes here on the top. And yeah, now the clothes are supposed to be drying in there. And that's the concept of how it works, really. Let me just turn it off quickly. So does it work in practice? Well, first of all, let me just tell you the things I didn't like so much about it, where it's not that effective. For one thing, when you buy this, I think it's this sail that causes a really chemical smell. And all the clothes then smell of it. But as you use this unit over time, the smell just gets less and less every time until you don't smell it anymore. And the clothes don't smell anymore after that, thank goodness. But the problem with this concept is, I think because the clothing doesn't see sunshine and wind, the bacteria start to thrive on them. Because this machine just simply takes too long to dry them. They stay wet or moist for far too long in this thing before they're actually dry. As I said, it might take 6 to 8 hours. And in that time the clothes start to, I don't want to say rot, but you know that smell that wet clothes start to get after a while. Yeah, I'm afraid the clothes do start to smell. Sometimes you wouldn't notice it, and then you wear the clothes and yeah, then you might get a whiff of something you don't like, of maybe clothes that didn't dry properly or took too long to dry. They felt dry, but yeah, they just took too long before they dried. But fortunately, I won't say that happens every time. That might happen if say for example, I would dry this shirt, this same exact shirt in this thing for about 5 times or 6 times, then it really starts to get noticeable, that smell of clothes that didn't dry properly. But yeah, what I would say then is just hang it outside on the wash line in the sunshine for a bit, so the sunshine can kill the bacteria. That's what I read. The smell is caused by bacteria, and if you just put it in the sunlight will kill the bacteria, and of course the fresh air, the wind will freshen it out a bit, and then your clothes will be fine. So you cannot only ever use the DriBuddi, you can use it a few times for the same clothing items, and then you must hang them outside for the time you wash them after that, just to get rid of any smells that might accumulate on them over time. Another thing, well, I don't know if it'll take an entire wash load. As you saw here, they take about, what was this, 6 items really. Some smaller items also. You can maybe put your underpants or panties or whatever, hang them somewhere where you find a space where it's open and it can get some hot air flow around them. But no, it's not 18 items like you might have seen. I saw it on the box when I bought it. It said 18 items of clothing. It must have been really small items, like maybe just 18 women's panties or something, maybe 18 socks. So I don't know, the reviews online that I've read are from people that say they still use their conventional tumble dryers anyway. They only use the DriBuddi on occasion. So yeah, I don't know, it doesn't seem like an all-round solution to drying your clothes. Do I use it? Yes, I do use it on rainy days when I cannot hang the clothes on the wash line outside. But yeah, that is my preferred method of drying my clothes, just plain hanging them outside onto the wash line. That still remains the best way to do it, and to make sure that the clothes dry properly and in good time and without any smells afterwards. But on rainy days, yes, I do use this machine, so it does come in handy on occasion. What else did people say? Oh, sometimes they say, yeah, your clothes are not gonna need ironing if you dry it in this thing. Is that true? Well, I would say it will need some ironing if you want it really fancy. Basically what I would say is the clothes will look like they look when you put them in. For example, let me see this. You see these pocket flaps, for example. if they are all crumpled up when the shirt is wet, when you put it in, it's gonna dry like that and it will be all wrinkled and crumpled up when it's dry. So yeah, while it's still wet and moist, you might just flatten it out nicely, see that it's all hanging nice and neat, and then it should dry less wrinkled than otherwise. But no, I wouldn't say that the clothes will not need ironing at all. It depends on how neat you want it. For everyday wear, especially if you're gonna wear it under a jacket, yeah, I suppose it should be okay. Just also make sure the collars, of course, are nice and flat when you're gonna dry it in this thing, and then it should come out nice and flat, otherwise it's gonna be all pointing up and crumpled up and wrinkled, and you don't want that. So, what are my final thoughts on it? Well, the price was far too high. I don't know if it's just where I bought it. I know some places sell these as some magnificent wonders, as seen on TV stuff, that they then sell for about 10 times what it's really worth. Personally, I think this should just be sold as some ordinary daily item. Then they should make a lot more money by doing volume sales, because as it is, I thought they were just much too expensive for the ordinary person to buy. I think they thought this was some kind of luxury item or whatever, and I disagree. I mean, yeah, look, it's cheaply made, cheap plastic, cheap everything. There's barely any material here. The thing is hollow inside, so it looks big, but yeah, no, it's a cheap thing and it should be sold as such. I don't know how much they retail for where you are and what you think of the price. I thought it's much too expensive, but I thought, well, yeah, maybe I'll just pay it once and it can help me dry my clothes on rainy days, and that is indeed what it does, yeah. But no, it's not gonna replace your wash line outside, certainly not, and probably not your tumble dryer, because probably your tumble dryer can handle a lot more clothes at a time, and it will dry it a lot faster. Maybe like a 90-minute cycle will dry a complete wash load. Well, this will probably take 6 hours if these actual clothes that I put in here. I'll probably just put them in overnight when I dry them for real, so they can dry for about 8 hours. The manual actually says you mustn't work this machine more than 6 hours at a time. So, I mean, what do you do now? After 6 hours, if your clothes simply aren't dry yet, then you must use it longer. I don't know if it's that energy efficient, because you're gonna use it for so long, because you must use it for that long to do the job properly. What else did I see people say in the reviews? Oh, some people actually said this thing is too big, because it looks kind of big when it's like this, and yeah, if you're living in a very small space, it probably is big, but I mean, yeah, if you look inside, you cannot really make it any smaller, then you're just gonna dry even less items. So yeah, no, you cannot really make it any smaller, that's just not gonna be practical. Okay then, that's as much as I can tell you about this device. It will solve some of your laundry drying problems, while unfortunately creating a few more, if you only ever use this unit. But yeah, it does have its uses. Alright then, please hit the like and subscribe button under this video, and I'll see you in the next one.